And we're back once again for another no news week. It's pretty grim, no lie. Still
We're
listening
getting starting this up again, aren't we?
pretty much are. I was trying to build it up so he's like, right, we've got so much to talk about. It's going to be amazing. I feel like more news channels need to start with. Right, shit, same old, same old.
It's been a quiet week. Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, go watch something else or go listen to something else. Pretty much where we're at the moment. However, we do have some things to talk about. I'm sure there'll be something that'll tickle your fancy. So I'll start because I watched probably, and I'm going to say this on podcast record, probably the best third movie franchise film ever.
Ooh, that's a
Like,
claim.
He did big it up the other day when he was telling
Like,
us about it.
That's a claim.
I'm there. It's Clerks 3.
Mhm.
So we've obviously done Clerks 1 and 2 on the podcast, which we pretty rated consistently with them two movies.
Yeah,
They've got gradually better, if I remember correctly.
I could probably
And
have a look.
And now, bear in mind, I went and watched this film. I had to travel 22 miles because Cineworld didn't.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I went.
watched last week's episode to hear Andy's rant about Cineworld. It was
Yeah, I did that. I then got rid of my Cineworld card, so I then had to pay for 2 tickets to watch this film. Now, anytime I pay for something, it ruins something. It like knocks it down a star or knocks it down a point. It just takes something away from it. However, Clerks, I had no issue paying. Like, I'd go watch that again. I'd pay the same money to go watch that film again. It is absolutely amazing. I literally laughed the first 2 minutes in. I cried the first 2 minutes in. I then laughed 3 minutes in. It is up and down. It's an emotional roller coaster, that film. And the biggest problem that all of us had with Clerks, if I remember, is Dante being Dante.
Yep, I think that was definitely a constant, was that we didn't like
Yes,
the main guy.
like that Randall was the ultimate character,
Yeah, we
and
liked him.
we didn't understand the point of Dante at all. This film finally rectifies what is the point of Dante.
Oh, he's redeemed himself.
I can't give anything away. However, I watched it and I came out of the film and I just went, this film elevates Clerks 1 and 2. Like, it doesn't take away from Clerks 1 or 2. It literally elevates them all up.
Okay.
And you will watch Clerks 1 and 2 completely differently. And for a third film to go back and be able to do that, I just think, oh my God, it's amazing. So go watch Clerks 3. Highly recommend it. I don't think it's coming to streaming services until next month, so end of October. And then if you don't have any of the streaming services over in the UK, you can buy it on Blu-ray, I think on the 6th of December. I'm all over it.
Hashtag not an ad.
So yeah, I actually cannot recommend it enough. I can't say too much about it because there's ruins or spoilers. Stay away from the internet but there is a bit at the end of the film where you think there's not a post-credit thing. Kevin Smith notoriously doesn't do them, but stay until the very end credits.
Right.
It's just absolutely amazing roller coaster film. Watch it. Best third film. Like, I was literally trying to think. I can't think of anything better than third. Like Return of the Jedi. Nah. Like
Back to the Future 3.
Nope. Nothing. Literally, none of them have a patch on Clerks.
Okay.
Like. And normally, even like Terminator 2, so you forget Terminator 1 exists, you go straight in with Terminator 2, then the rest of the Terminators don't exist. Clerks 3, and then elevates Clerks 1 and 2. Like, it's that type of film. Whereas Terminator 2 was just Terminator 2. It didn't do anything for Terminator 1. You basically tried to forget Terminator 1 existed. So
not exactly, but okay.
Terminator 2 is the only Terminator that exists.
We'll get into that when we do the Terminator on the podcast. I'm surprised we've got this far without any of us picking any of them. But
so yeah, that's my recommendation. And as for TV, I'll do a quick highlight reel of what not to watch. Don't bother with SheHulk.
SheHulk, that's the thing I've watched. I've watched that this week.
Yeah.
I've watched SheHulk.
I haven't watched it yet.
Actually, just watch the last 5 minutes of it, Chris.
Yeah.
The first 25 minutes is, I think, the worst 25 minutes Marvel have ever put out. I think. Not funny, not interesting, doesn't build any characters, focuses on characters that I don't care about, introduces new ones for cheap laughs that don't get one, and then the last 5 minutes are, oh yeah, we are a TV series. We know we tempted you with something that was going to happen in this episode. We intentionally brag about not giving it to you, which worked in South Park 20 years ago, maybe not so much these days. And then the last 5 minutes as, here's a bit more of the storyline, which I'm also a bit concerned about, but it is a complete it is a horror show that's not meant to be as horrible. It's
And it's
really
the thing
just
I'm
not
thinking
good.
of. I can't wait until that series happens. That's
Well,
what I'm waiting for.
She-Hulk is literally had so much potential and it's fucking grim. So
I thought
Marvel on a downward spiral now.
I thought I was being miserable, so I thought it's probably just me. Let me have a look at. Let me Google. So I ended up on IMDb, and each episode rating on IMDb for She-Hulk. This is the 6th episode, isn't it? So it goes like 7, 6, 6.5, 6, 5, 6, and this one's like a 4.7 for this newest episode. So that it's that much worse than everything else.
It is grim.
Yeah.
Speaking of grim, I can see why they dropped 3 episodes of Andor.
Really?
Because first 2, like what? Why am I watching it? And like they're quite long. They're not like Obi-Wan style where it's like, ooh, like the biggest problem I've got with it is, spoiler alert, he dies. They all die. So I don't understand it. Like I've always said, I'm a big Star Wars fan. Give me something else. They gave us Mando, a character we do not know.
Yeah.
He could live, he could die, you don't know what happens. Instead, what they've done is they went, oh, Andor, he was all right in the Rogue One series, but he dies. Let's make a series about that, because we know where that's going to go, and it's pointless, because it literally, my only criticism of it is, you get a bit of a backstory with him, but it's only about 2 years before Rogue One. So it's a very, very short window, so he doesn't really evolve as a character that much, and those 3 episodes are painfully slow.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So my issue I have with I have problems with prequels. The prequels have to be, you're not just making this because we know who the character is. You have to make a prequel because something interesting happened to this character. So this far in 3 hours, 2 to 3/4 hour long, nothing interesting has happened.
All right, the first 2 episodes, and I can do this spoiler free. First episode, Andor, he's there, right? You know this guy. Walks around, speaks to a guy that you don't know, speaks to another guy you don't know, speaks to another guy you don't know, does something with no consequence at all. End of episode. Next episode, goes to another place, does that one consequence thing. No, it didn't actually mean anything. Oh, you must be a bad guy. No, you're not. There's another guy. End of episode. Then episode 3 brings in a mysterious character where it's like, right, goes, talks to a guy. Something interesting actually happens, which relates to, all right, this could be a good story. End of episode.
Okay.
Honest to God, it is just walking and talking. However, my one point in positive of Andor, there's no sand to be seen yet. Now I say yet because the sets, the setting, everything, amazing. I feel like I'm in a Star Wars world. But the problem is I do not give a fuck about one single character. I don't even care about robots.
And
I always care about a robot.
I managed to stay away from Tatooine thus far, because this tiny little planet on the edge of the universe, the whole point of it existing is that Luke Skywalker is out of everything. It seems to be central to absolutely everything important that ever happened in the galaxy. So.
Yeah, so Andor, currently it's okay, but I can see why they had to do 3 episodes. It's a long series, so hopefully it picks up, but ultimately, he dies.
Yeah, we know where it's going, yeah.
So you should have just given me the Mando series earlier and stopped pushing it to fucking February. And then House of Dragons, I'm out.
Really?
Lord of the Rings, I'm out.
Right.
Oh, I'm quite enjoying that though.
Nope. They're all too fucking slow and boring. Like, they need to just spunk their load in their first couple of episodes. Give me something. But I want dragons. It's called House of the fucking Dragons. I want some more dragons.
I have no passion for either shows to the point where, like, I've not, like, it's been a week, I've not even put on. I think I was up to date with House of Dragons, so I had one to watch. I didn't bother. And then the Lord of the Rings one, I haven't bothered to watch a new one of that. To show how little enthusiasm there is in my house, certainly, Jade loves Lord of the Rings. And it's a brand new Lord of the Rings thing. She's currently watching The Two Towers as we're recording the podcast, rather than having been watching the new show that's been on, dying to watch The Rings of Power.
It's interesting, but they're dragging it out. There's 5 minutes of interest and 55 minutes of, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, 5 minutes to the end. Oh, end of episode, you got to wait a week. It's like, fuck you. Every time.
Yeah, it seems
doing
like
this shit.
Every episode is built on the 5 minute cliffhangers, and here's the interest, especially with She-Hulk did it specifically this week as well, where here's the thing you're interested in, and then we'll milk it for another 40 minutes. That'll make them keep coming back.
Since you brought that up, Netflix are apparently wanting to start doing weekly episodes instead of binging everything.
Yeah.
Which I
that's
think's the right move for them.
It's a right business idea,
Yeah.
see, because that's why they split up Stranger Things the way they did, and that's why they did. I think they did it with not Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul as well. They split that in half.
But speaking of another thing that I went to watch, and it's my last kind of hot pick this episode, I went to go and watch the new Monsters. Said fuck that shit, it looks awful, and didn't bother.
All right, fair enough.
Because it looks 1,000 times worse than I thought. I was like, oh, look at that, Netflix, they've got that. And you get the kind of quick previews and stuff like that, like a kind of quick trailer, like, ooh, that looks grim. And then I went on IMDb, and yeah, it's grim.
It's grim.
So
Okay.
I was like, fuck that shit. So I avoided that. So what have you watched, Chris? What have you?
Not much. It's been a slow week for me as well. I watched Ant-Man on my Marvel
right.
thingy.
Mhm.
So that's
At least we know that's. I was gonna say, at least we know that's good.
Yeah.
Michael Pena.
Yeah.
That's what we named our award for is because of that one bit.
Completely, like, he's like transcends the podcast because we have never reviewed Ant-Man. I think we're actually quite unlikely to ever do Ant-Man, but Michael Pena has always had this award named after him because of how defining a moment that was.
Exactly.
He needs to do the entire Marvel universe, just 20 minutes of him rattling through what happens.
I'm sure he will at some stage.
There was talks of that happening or something. We have to have him explaining multiverses to us.
Yes.
I feel like that will
Yeah.
clear everything up when we finally get to it. So obviously, just about the next movie or two is an Ant-Man one, so we might get him doing it. So
What else you watch, Chris? Just
That's
that.
literally it. I caught up, because somebody decided to get married. Sorry, a couple of weeks ago. I've caught up with the things I missed then, but I haven't seen the new episodes yet.
Right.
So.
And you've only watched She-Hulk, Chris.
I've only watched it because I keep going to watch the Wrexham thing, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to want to binge it. So I'm waiting for it to all be there.
There's only a couple episodes left, and there's one final episode soon.
Right.
Yeah, there's the final episode, which is a 45-minute, so I've got that to watch after they've done this podcast.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So if that's there now, I'll
get your aviation gin out and go and watch some Wrexham.
Hashtag not an ad. Yeah, so I'll probably binge all that with it at some point because I do like my football documentaries. But yeah, I've been watching actual football, so there we go. That's what I've been doing this week.
There you go. So that's what we've done. So now let's get on to some news, rumors, and gossip. And as I said at the start of this, we brought this news podcast back at the wrong time because the news that we've got that I've got to share is pretty much very, very loose gossip and probably won't actually happen because films don't seem to be getting made at all. They're all getting talked about. And it's like, oh, we've got a new writer for the Fantastic Four. So it looks like Fantastic Four is going to get made. So they've got a couple of writers for that. So it's like, great. That's all we've got in that. So no cast, no nothing. They've got some writers. Probably still waiting for director. So that's a bit grim. And then we get, June's recording. That's pretty much the news on the internet. It's just started. There's no rumors, gossips, that. It's like, where is all we need to send Chris out to get to all these sets and get us proper movie news because
I've got a couple of bits.
Good, because I've scoured the internet and it is just all literally, this person's been spotted here. But it's not on a movie set. It's just like, this person's been rumored to do this. It's like, what happened to movie news? What happened to movies getting made? What happened to like, oh my God, there's this new thing coming out here. There's a new Avatar. Like, there's zero Avatar buzz as well, other than the originals coming back to cinemas.
Yeah.
It's like, what about the new one that's coming out in December? Like, I've got a feeling, and this is probably like breaking news, it's getting pushed.
Might do.
I don't think it's coming out in December. They're releasing this one in November, which you think, all right, that's because they're going to release the next one. I think they're pushing it. I've got a feeling. And my actual only bit of news, which I thought I'll bring up because I feel like it's going to bring up a hot subject here. So it's for the horror fans out there. The great Hellraiser franchise, which has got about 1,000,001 movies. New one coming out. Trailer's out. I think it's actually getting released very, very soon as well.
I think it might be out. Yeah, one way or another. It's very soon. Yeah.
Yeah. But they've made, what do you call them? Pinhead female.
Saw that.
I literally just saw that before. I haven't read much into it.
It's like, apparently, and I've read into this, apparently it's for a very, very good reason, and in the film it makes perfect sense. However, I'm thinking, but why? they've got 1,000,001, what do you call them? I can't even remember what they're called. Chinamble bites or whatever they're called. The bad things. They've got a weird fancy name. Can't remember what they're called.
In the Pinhead movies, because I do not know
Yes.
Hellraiser at all. So
yeah, the Hellraisers, like they're all like kind of Like cannibals, but not cannibals. They've got a name for the bad guys.
I'll have a look because I don't know anything about this. So.
But yeah, there's like 1,000,001 of them, and each like film kind of focuses on different. Like, obviously, Pinhead's the heat bummer. He's the big one. But if Cenobites, something like that.
Cenobites. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you've nailed it with a C.
Yes. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, they've got female ones. So if you wanted to make a female Hellraiser film, make one of them the heat bummer. Doesn't have to be a female heat bummer, but they did. And it brings on to discussion. When is this going to end? Like, this is an all-white, all-male podcast. We're probably going to get cancelled after this because some woke bellend will be listening to us, ready to jump on us and slander us all over Twitter. But I'm just bringing up a proper discussion on where does it end? Because we even had it in SheHulk last week, where the person making the outfit for SheHulk in the comics is a very, very, very white dude with bleach blonde hair, but they've just turned him into a black guy. Now, it doesn't make any difference to the show at all. However, that's just an example of they changed it. You've got Hellraiser, white male. I think she's a white female. I'm not sure. There's a lot of makeup there. But where does this end? Like, when am I going to get the male She-Hulk? Like, when does that happen? Like, why is Mark Ruffalo not playing She-Hulk? Like, I want to see that film.
I prefer the Hulk as he is, like a beast. He's not some.
No. I'm just talking about like, why can't a male play She-Hulk?
What?
Like, when does this end?
Yeah. No, the thing's going to be it's when they've changed everything that they want to change, and then we'll have a whole 2 years worth of everything's different. It's popped into my mind recently as well because I saw a debate happening, or who the next James Bond should be.
Yeah.
And the three they were debating between were all black guys, and I'm like, why does it now have to be a black guy? Why can't it still just be the same guy? Like, okay, fair enough. Here's three actors, but they're all distinctly not what James Bond has been. Why does it have to be different now? The same goes for Doctor Who. Like Doctor Who, it's done its woman phase now. I'm assuming the next Doctor Who, am I right in thinking he's not a white guy?
Well, it's the guy from Sex Education. I can't remember his name. It's in the Quat or something like
anyway,
that.
So I still feel like everything is going to go through their phase of this period. But I'm like, but what? Why does it have to be this way? I don't know. Like, again, the whole argument is all people want to go and see these days is characters they know. Hence how it's all comic books and all TV shows being turned into films and old remakes and all that. So they have to create these new characters and stars now with known characters. Therefore, that's why they have to switch it, is the argument people are making. But again, for me,
it's not an argument.
Just make more interesting things.
Like Disney films where they say, just because they haven't made a point of saying that they're a lesbian, gay, whatever character, doesn't mean that they're not that character.
Yeah, and you can sneak that in without singing and dancing about it. But then, like, we're beating around the bush. Black Ariel. Like, there's not a problem with that at all. However, literally their entire marketing purposes is, look at this. This is not the Ariel you know. She's black.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't give a shit. You could have just made the Little Mermaid film and then just not banged on about it.
Quite literally, that is all I've seen about that film is people talking about how, look a difference it makes now that she's black. And it's like, so you're actually marketing this way. It also reminds me, I found out in the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks, that I think it's less than 7% of Britons identify as not being straight. So they are LGBTQ. So less than 7% of people in Britain identify as that, which got me thinking, why does every single television and movie show need to have a non-straight love story as part of it? Because shouldn't it be less than 1 in 9 love stories that we see on television is like that? It's just another imbalance.
I'll go into this. I'll get cancelled myself. I think it's all part of the government ploy because there's too many people being made. Now, inherently, gay people can't have kids. Like, it physically just doesn't work if you do that or that. It just doesn't work.
We're going full QAnon now. It's a government conspiracy.
So, but yeah, I'm thinking, right, the more gay couples we can make, or like, you know, like people going through transitions thinking they're in the wrong body, it just confuses the matter. So we pump that out there and go, wait there, maybe I'm not comfortable in this body. So I get shit chopped off, then you can't procreate. Ta-da.
More food to go around, more houses.
I'm just saying, like, that's my government conspiracy theory thinking. But I feel like the more we're putting this on screen and all that, okay, it's opening up people that might not have thought about it. But also, there is a generation that's coming up going, should I just be a them? Should I just be, what toilet do I use? Like, when are toilets not going to be like there's universal toilets, which I think's a fair game, but mind you, I've been in some women's toilets.
I'm not going full conspiracy theory like Andy is. I'm not. That's not necessarily believe what he believes. However, I do think that it is society's doing, where now production companies feel like they have to do this because people will point and be like, "Why have you not done this?" And it's like, even if that person isn't a gay black person, it's like, "Why is there no gay black love story in your TV show?" So they feel pressured into doing it. It's just like how. Most recently, I don't know if you noticed, the Queen passed away in the UK, and everybody had to be sad about it, and we had to be remorseful, and we had to think about, oh, how sad it is that the Queen died and all that. And if you didn't, everyone is like, why are you not being sad? Why are you not being apologetic to the Queen?
Because she was fucking 97. She had 97 fucking years on this planet and did a good thing. We celebrated her for 97 fucking years.
Exactly.
I don't need 10 more days while she's dead and rotten in a fucking coffin,
and that's
being paraded around.
And that seems to be these sort of people who like to complain about stuff. Which used to be you would just phone up the police or you would just phone Watchdog. It seems to be on Twitter now. You complain people aren't respecting the Queen because it's been 10 days since she died and they're still got adverts on their billboards or whatever it is people have got a problem with nowadays. So it's, I feel like people are the problem. Society is the problem. Anyway.
And I think we'll end this argument on, just remember, He-Man is a white dude. If he becomes a black character, I feel like it's only about time that Black Panther becomes white.
Right, okay, that's the correlation there.
That's what we're going to get to. So as soon as He-Man, he literally is the whitest white, big, manly man I can think of. If he becomes a black character...
I think Thor would be a direct... Like, Thor is meant to be, like, Nordic. Like it's meant to be Scandinavian.
He literally can't change.
Exactly.
I don't know many black Vikings. They're probably wrong, but I don't imagine there'll be too many of them back in the days. But so as soon as Thor changes, we're getting Black Panther. We're going to white and gay him up, I reckon. So right, Chris, give us some more movie news before I get us cancelled.
I forgot why we're here. I thought we were just taking a piss at everybody. Well, the biggest news that I found this week was we're finally getting a Constantine sequel.
I literally, I forgot about that. It was so long ago. I forgot. I was too busy ranting.
It's been done by the same director as the first one, from what I remember, and obviously Keanu Reeves is going to return. The only other bit I've got is the reboot master J.J. Abrams is involved as producer, so.
He's not a master. He fucked the new Star Wars franchise.
It means he'll get it funded.
Oh, sorry,
the
reboot master in J.J. Abrams.
You mean a direct copy, only it's shinier and got some J.J. Abrams flair in it?
Yeah,
so that's what happened.
To be fair, I think we actually mentioned this Constantine reboot on our original news that we did, because what you call him, the Lucifer dude, the Russian guy. It's
Peter Stormare.
Yeah, Peter Stormare. He accidentally leaked it about a year ago.
That's right.
So I think we actually did mention this, but at least it's now been confirmed. So our news is if you beat around the bush, there is some actual factual information in here. So
they listen to us, be like, okay, this is what people want, so we'll do it.
Yeah, they do. This international podcast that's not been cancelled yet.
You can fact check us, and we are. That's us been. We've got some credit there that we right on that one year.
But I'm excited for Constantine. I like Constantine. I wasn't a fan of the series.
I haven't seen the series yet.
The series is, and then I think Constantine's got his little reboot because of the Sandman, where they once again female.Constantine. We've been there, we've done that. Right, what else you got, Chris?
The only one I've got is Mel Gibson's confident that Lethal Weapon 5 is going to start shooting early next year.
Yes, that's what we need.
So he says
more talking Riggs back.
He's both of them going to be back, and he says they've got a really good screenplay developed. So.
Is it written by Rob McElhenney and Charlie Day? They used to do Lethal Weapon and All of a Sudden in Philadelphia, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was a bit of blackface that had to get cancelled.
Yep. Once again, why can't we? Why can't we?
Why can't a white man play?
Pouring my American Aviation gin with some nice Pepsi Max lime close together like a treat.
Hashtag not an ad again.
You got a big P in the corner for product placement.
Yeah, or not, like the crossed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if he says it's a good screenplay, I'm all board because he's quite good with his films.
Do you remember when Mel Gibson got cancelled as well? He's came back with a decent career again, I would say.
Yeah, if you go away for like 2 years, like maybe 18 months, 24 months, you're fine after that. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you like again.
He was anti-Semitic, wasn't it?
I
He's
believe that was him. Yeah.
yeah, I think he was a bit of a Christian nut.
Yeah, it was off the back end of him, the Jesus Christ. What was it called again? His movie?
Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ. Yeah, off the back of that, I think.
Everybody has to have watched that.
I didn't. It's not in English.
I think it would be a tough watch.
I know what happens. He dies.
He dies. Yeah. And then again.
I know films like that. It's like you know what's gonna happen, so you just waiting for it. Come on, he's gonna die at some point.
It's like the Titanic all over again.
It's my dead man walking thing from Movies and Movies. Like Jesus, yep, yeah.
Right. So, Bruce, please tell us there's some other forecast.
Yeah. So the top 5, it's
a drink to get cancelled.
Yeah, the top 5 is a bunch of movies we've already covered. All the ones I've never heard of have gone. So top 5 is back to the old favourites. DC League of Super Pets is 5. Top Gun Maverick back in the top 5 again, number 4. The new Minions movies there. Bullet Train back up to number 2. So there's people have got to see Bullet Train. I think it's probably making more money in the UK than Nope did. But Nope was a 1 week and done. And then See How They Run, which I talked about last week, is still number 1. It's the one I kind of want to go see at the moment. But again, it's not compelled.
That? Oh, that's a detective one, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of murder mystery sort of thing. Yeah. With Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan. So that's number 1. Coming out this week, I could only actually find one film that's coming out this week, but there's been some publicity for it. It's Don't Worry, Darling. It's finally made it to cinemas. Olivia Wilde directs herself, Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, and Chris Pine. They all live in an idealized community where all of the men work for a top secret company, and then the cracks begin to appear in this mystery thriller where we don't really ever know what's going on. It's all about it unraveling and trying to work.
I only want to see this because of all the news that's happening about it.
Yeah, because it was kind of released as this actually happened at like an award ceremony, and they did this and all that, and it's actually a film. It was well done marketing.
Last week that apparently Harry Styles gobbed on the
because that is in the film, but yeah, it was all this stuff going, oh my god, what happened here? And then it's like, yeah, it's now just a film.
Yeah,
so very well done.
But I do like the look of it. It looks like my kind of thing, so I will possibly go out and see that, and maybe Clerks 3 and some other things and all that. But yeah, that's
Clerks 3 is a recommend because I don't think it's in cinemas for long. So get to the cinema and watch that.
I don't think it'll last long. And then the other thing I've got that's in cinemas is Andy mentioned it. The OG Avatar movie is back in cinemas now with IMAX upscaling and blah blah whatever else it is now. But yeah, they're trying to advertise ways that it's better and bigger than ever. But it's just the same old movie. It's probably not even 3D. So.
But while you're doing the kind of thing, I just thought I'll go on Cineworld and just see what's showing at my local cinema, right?
Yep.
So I can go, and these are tickets I can book now playing. So Don't Worry, Darling, Avatar re-release, Ticket to Paradise, Smile.
Oh yeah.
Then Tad the Lost Explorer, which you mentioned last time. See How They Run, and then we start getting interesting. So we've got Jaws in 3D.
Yep.
We've got Bullet Train still there. We've got Fast and the Furious, the original. Then we've got Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, Maverick still on, Spectre, Clerks 3, and that's a bunch of Indian films. Which, sorry, Indian people, we don't do them.
Week,
And then, it's all kind of things. And James and the Giant fucking Peach coming out.
It's all 4DXs and HD super screen IMAX re-releases of things because there's no new films coming out.
I'd like to watch The Dark Knight in 4DX just so I can smell the face paint off the Joker as I'm in the seat.
What does face paint smell like, Chris? Just spraying in your face. Just, I can smell Becky Ledger face paint there.
What was it, Guardians of the Galaxy? Bubbles getting sprayed in my face, so I thought when we get a close up of the Joker, it's going to be the smell of face paint.
Or every time he moves his head, he just gets splashed with his wet hair.
And that's any other releases?
That's the new ones. But streaming this week, I couldn't find any films, but the most intriguing thing coming to streaming this week, or that has come to streaming this week, Netflix have got the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Evan Peters, who was...
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Quicksilver that we call him in the X-Men.
Quicksilver, American Horror Story.
As the famous serial killer in a true crime drama series, which could be quite good. Serial killer stuff always goes down pretty well. People are always watching.
And Evan Peters does play a nutter very well.
Yeah, I can see him being a good psychopath. Yeah, and also a nice guy, which is always the dichotomy, obviously, with these characters. That's the best.
The highlight of your career, though, is playing like a serial killer that everybody hates, and you're like, oh, I'm going to play this guy. I'm going to.
I mean, to be honest, Anthony Hopkins did a right out of it. But yeah, that's it. Streaming wise, that's it. Future releases, it's the same old films. I keep mentioning every week. I think Amsterdam might be the next film I've got. I've actually seen it advertised on television now. Margot Robbie is the main star. That's why she's out promoting stuff and talking about Barbie and all that now as well. But Amsterdam in early October is the next thing. Next week is a write-off, I think. I don't think anything else is out in September. So yeah.
I think that brings us nicely on to come back next week for more non-movie news. But
who are we going to attack next week?
I think we've got some things. Basically, we're recommending go watch Clerks. Watch Ant-Man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Avoid all TV series, they're all shite at the moment. And if none of that takes your fancy, we do have a kind of classic 2001 film that we're about to review, which is Evolution. So go watch that and then listen to our main Big Daddy podcast. We still need a name for that one. The main event podcast.
Yeah.
The 10 Point Podcast. Watch it then. And hopefully we've not bored you too much. And hopefully you come back and listen to the more great and exciting news or just general rants about getting cancelled, which is the 10 Point Podcast Weekly News. And we shall see you next week.